Hello, this is Chad Baker, and I'm here with Andy Sulak. We're from LE Software, and we're here to talk about the new Outlook. And the reason we're doing that is that we are currently in the opt-in stage, not quite the cutover, but we wanted to give everybody a little bit of information about the new Outlook. So kind of the first question is, how do you get to the new Outlook?
Sure. So on my screen here, I have the classic Outlook. It's the latest version of Outlook, but it's the difference between a classic interface and then the new Outlook interface. So just as a real quick rundown, I have my Exchange Online mailbox. I have a shared mailbox. I've got a connected PST, and then I've got my online archive. And in this upper right corner, we've got the try the new Outlook switch. So this is a toggle here that as an end user, I can just go ahead and flip that. So I'm going to do that. Immediately when I do that, you'll see that there's a message that pops up saying that the preview does not have Outlook data files or PSTs available. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit switch. And then you'll see that Outlook will restart in the new Outlook interface. So it's the same code base, it's just switching over to a new interface. And then I still have my mailbox here as we just
And
go
while that's
through.
loading, so say you're an administrator and you don't want users to be able to switch over to the new Outlook because you don't want kind of some surprises for users. How can you control the user's ability basically to switch?
Yeah, good question. So that can be controlled via PowerShell. There's web policies, and then there's also registry changes, so that you can hide, or you can hide the toggle button, or you would then have administrative control over that from a centralized. So good question. So here I am in a new interface. I still have my online archive, which is just an in-place archive here, and then I've got that shared mailbox. Obviously, the PST is not connected because it's not supported. So here we go.
All right. So now that you're in the new Outlook, what are some of the new features available?
All right. So lots of new features, but we'll just kind of take, I'll say the top three, or the three that I like. We've got a much more simpler interface here. We have a simplified ribbon bar. You can go back to a classic ribbon bar, but it's still very simplified. You have your mail, calendar, to do, OneDrive, and then you can also take apps and you can pin them in here. So it's shift is more towards Outlook being, kind of your heads up display, so you can have more application interfaces in here. So that's a that's a nice thing with Outlook because it's always been feature packed, so it's a little easier to navigate. A couple other quick things are the ability to pin emails. So you can just hit pin. That way you can organize your folders, is what you want to, be reminded of, pay attention to, by pinning them to the top, and then you can of course unpin. And then one of my personal favorites, if you go to create a new message, you now have a schedule send option. So in the classic interface, you've always had a delay send, but you had to keep Outlook up and running for it to do that. Now you can have a default time, or there's some defaults there. You can set an exact time and date you want to send it. You can close Outlook and it'll be taken care of in the background. Nice and easy. I really like that. So
That is a nice one.
mhm.
So I quickly mentioned that we're in the opt-in stage. Can you kind of go through what is Microsoft's plan for getting people switched over to the new Outlook?
Yes. So there are three stages. As you mentioned, we're in the opt-in stage where I had to go and click on yes, new Outlook. I want to do this. So we're opting in. The next stage, there's stage two, which is opt out, will be where the new interface is the default, and then a user or administrative control would have to opt out of it for the classic interface. And then the final stage, which is the cutover, is going to be there where it is the new interface going forward. So at that time, or Microsoft is committed to 12 months prior to that, giving notice that, hey, we're going to go into the cutover. We don't know, those times haven't been published yet. The new Outlook interface has been out for a year now, but those are the stages. So we will eventually get to a cutover point. So.
And so, once you get to that cutover point, you're kind of stuck with the new one. So if anything that does not work with the old version, you need to kind of take care of now. So what are some of the things that are different between the classic and the new Outlook?
Yes, so the big three from our perspective are, one is add-ins, if you've been using those. So there's a good article about the add-ins for the new Outlook for Windows from the Microsoft Tech community. You don't have to write that down. We're going to link to it, and we also have an article on this that goes along with a video. Gives you information on how to check for your installed COM add-ins, determining which ones are important, and then also a nice list of commonly used COM add-ins, and then the associated web add-ins that Outlook is shifting towards that give you the same or similar functionality. So you might already have all the web add-ins available. They would just need to be added, and then there's other options if you have additional things. So the COM add-ins are a big one. And then we already mentioned, or you already saw the message about the PST support not being there. So that's a big one that you're going to want to find your PSTs. That's something you can absolutely reach out to us about to help managing that. And then finally, if any custom forms are used in your environment, this might be something you need to ask your IT or messaging team about regarding custom forms, because there isn't the same support in the new Outlook interface. So.
Okay, so I know you mentioned you're going to, a lot of this is in the article that we're going to be kind of referencing with the video as well, but kind of as a general plan, I think we're recommending that kind of the first step is you need to decide on whether or not you want to opt in, right? So kind of decide, do you want to allow users to opt in or don't you? And then you need to put in some sort of administrative control for that to allow it or not allow it. And then kind of the next step that we recommend is to assess what issues might arise. So when you go to the new Outlook, so whether you're letting people opt in or you're actually forcing people over or you're waiting for the cutover, you need to figure out what's going to be a problem. So you need to find out, like, do you have PSTs? How many of them? Do you have any custom forms? Do you have any COM add-ins that aren't going to work in the new Outlook? So kind of that quick assessment. And then mitigation phase, go through after you've assessed everything, figure out what you need to do to mitigate, whether that is migrating your PSTs or switching over to the new versions of the COM add-ins. And then something that I think a lot of administrators recommend is first you do a POC, figure out, what are some other challenges that you're not anticipating with users, and then switch over in controlled groups. So kind of do that scaling of, you start with say 100 people, and then you move to 1,000, then you move to 4,000. Kind of scale up your deployment of switching people over. So again, we're going to have this all in the article, but wanted to get everybody kind of a quick intro as to what is happening with the new Outlook and some things to think about. So thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Chad.